Good morning. It's September 8th, 2021 here in Nha Trang. I thought I'd give another update on the situation here. I did one about a week ago. Um, Vietnam still is getting a fairly large number of COVID cases. In fact, I think we probably set new records daily for a number of new cases. Yesterday, I think the total was just over 14,000, and which brought the country's total to 551,000, more or less. Um, and the majority of them tend to be in Ho Chi Minh City, which got over 7,000 of the new cases, and also a neighboring province, Binh Duong, if I pronounce that right, got just under 4,000 cases. So between those two, you've got 11, almost 12,000, or yeah, about 11 or 12,000, yeah, of the 14,000 new cases. So the rest of the country is generally looking at uh, new daily cases in the range of 100 or less. A few places are getting several hundred cases. Um, this Nha Trang itself is still getting uh, COVID cases on a daily basis, but the numbers are starting to look a little more positive. Um, the In fact, the average number of cases for the last 14 days, ever since we started getting fewer than 100 cases, um, the average for the last 14 days was 54 per day. And if you look at the last 7 days, it was just 39 new cases per day in Nha Trang City. Um, so that's quite positive, I guess. Um, the uh, the latest order, at least in this area, was that beaches were to be closed, that we were to stay in um, until yesterday. 7 days we weren't supposed to leave our homes, although that has more or less been in effect since July the 9th, when we first went into lockdown. But you know, anyway, they kind of come up with new orders, and which often are just a reiteration of the previous ones. They make them sound like they're going to be stricter, though. Um, I do see two people out in the water now, so I don't quite know what that's all about. It's possible they're breaking the rules and the authorities haven't gotten to them yet, or possibly they might be the lifeguards who seem to still show up for work and you know, do whatever they do, just maybe keep people out of the water. So maybe they're just out enjoying a swim or doing something like that. However, they don't really appear to be doing much of anything work related at the moment. Um, the proposal was that as of today, that things would relax a bit in Nha Trang and its province of Can Hoa, if you were in a green zone. Unfortunately, this area, this ward, has been a red zone, and it will likely remain one for a while because we are getting new COVID cases. Maybe not every day, but I think we have had new cases in the neighborhood just in the last few days. So life is going to probably remain very much like it had been, at least in this area, And from what I understand, even in the green zones, there hasn't been a really major change. Supposedly, if you're living in a green zone, uh, you can get out and exercise a bit more. Um, be out on the street, go walking. Stores will supposedly be open for shopping, inside shopping, and but I think the proposal was that you would just get a coupon or voucher to go shopping every 3 or 4 days, and you could only go shopping on your particular day and time period. The 7 p.m. curfew until 6 a.m. seems to have remained in place. Not that it really matters much because there's not much to be done after 7 p.m. Nothing is open really. Um, and I guess the other big advantage of being in a green zone is if you happen to be working, which would mainly be Vietnamese people, uh, you are allowed to go to your job. I think previously only a few uh, industries or occupations deemed essential were allowed to go to work. So, oh yeah, I guess the other big thing is that restaurants can open in green zones for takeout and delivery only to other green zones. So, in effect, uh, if you're not in a green zone, uh, I don't believe a restaurant from a green zone can deliver food to your neighborhood. So, yeah, green zones, I mean, it's a good start to get there. At least you know things are kind of getting under control. In this area, this street right here is one of the culprits for new COVID cases. Just up the block, I think maybe past that green and blue building there, there have been COVID cases on a side street there. Um, it is, well, whole area is locked down, so generally these aren't considered community transmissions, but since we are all in a red zone, I mean, I think it's probably considered a lockdown area. The entrance to this area, to this street, is still policed. Uh, yeah, there's usually several police officers out there, although they're probably in the shade now. And there's a rope there, so people can't enter or exit. And even deliveries, if they're allowed at all, they have to be handed over the rope to one of the authorities there. Um, there are trucks that can come in from the other direction, from the busier street called Tu Thang 4 up there. And so, it's not a major problem getting food here. The Moon Milk Grocery that's in this building is delivering. Um, generally, they don't have everything you order generally, but you can get enough to eat without much problem. Uh, there are a few other stores in the area that are allowing people to order by telephone, or perhaps mostly it seems telephone with all of them rather than websites. And they will deliver, or in some cases, you can go over there and pick things up. I was able to get some water and instant noodles yesterday by ordering by telephone, text message, and then going over to pick up the things I'd ordered in a Vieti Mart, which is kind of a tourist uh, shop, or well, I mean, it's it's a bit overpriced. Has a very limited stock of things, and it's I guess I'd compare it maybe to a convenience store with that kind of stuff. So anyway, the situation remains kind of unclear here. I guess the plan is to still try to go for zero COVID cases before they open the city up much more. The green zones are certainly far from being back to normal. They're open a little bit more than the red zones, but uh, even if you're in a green zone, my guess is a lot of restaurants are not even going to bother to reopen because they have a very limited area they can deliver to. And even before this latest lockdown in early July, there were very few restaurants that bothered to open because lack of business, and because now they may have a very tiny green zone area that they can deliver to or have takeouts from, pickups from. I'm going to guess a lot of them will just feel like it's better to wait until things open up more in the city. And also the realization is there that a green zone one day could become a red zone the next day if a COVID case is found. And then they would probably be stuck with whatever inventory they bought and not be able to sell it. So anyway, life goes on. There is hope that with very ramped up vaccinations in Ho Chi Minh City and Hanoi this month, that they may possibly start seeing a rapid decline of new COVID cases, especially in the Ho Chi Minh City and Bien Duong province nearby, which are getting the vast majority of the cases. Because those two places, Hanoi seems to have it fairly well under control. It's getting fewer cases than Nha Trang, but they do plan to get everyone vaccinated every adult anyway, within a couple of weeks. So I guess being the capital city, center of government, they want to get that open sooner than other places, even if the other places may have more of a COVID outbreak. So the situation here for getting vaccinated in Nha Trang is that over the last week or so, there were maybe 130,000 vaccines brought to the city and given to people, but I think the priorities tended to be military, police, healthcare workers, delivery drivers, and store clerks. So, which is quite a reasonable thing to do because these are people that would most likely come into contact with the public. So, some of the general public got vaccinated, but not many. So it remains to be a wait and see situation. Travel between provinces is still very restricted. So if you're in Nha Trang or in Vietnam, unless if you're in one of the major cities or nearby, you'll probably remain here.